All right, hey everybody, welcome to another tutorial video for Adobe XD. This is going to be for checkpoint number 1, which is due on February 28th. So firstly, what I'm going to be doing is going through the rubric, and then I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the design function on Adobe XD, which is what you're primarily going to be using for this part of the project. So without any further ado, I'm going to hop into the rubric. So the first section that we're going to be talking about is a title. This is essentially just creating an artboard that has a title page, which includes the name of your project, the names of the authors, and your names, which are the same thing. 2 and 3 are the same thing. And then 4 is any relevant info for the project that can include like pictures, any additional text, things like that. The content, you're going to need to include some fundamental science from Unit 1. This can include things like that you found in the slides or in the textbook, like Fick's law or vessels and airways, ventilation, diffusion, pulmonary function testing, anything that's relevant to the pulmonary disease that you're talking about. And then the second section of this is stating a problem. We're talking about a physiological problem here. For example, how does this condition that you've chosen affect pulmonary ventilation and through things like Fick's law, and eventually, get from somebody, somebody gets from this healthy state where they're doing okay to having trouble breathing, or having issues significant enough that they might need to see a doctor, get hospitalized, or something like that. So how are they getting from that point of a healthy state to a big issue? How is this affecting things like cell respiration and things like that? And then the next section is visuals. We're going to be really taking a deep dive into this. Each frame should include a useful graphic from outside sources, things like scientific papers and images and things like that. We're hoping that you guys are going to be looking on the internet and through different sources to take a look at what you can find for your diseases. And then the second aspect is one graphic created by the authors. This is just something that if you are artistically inclined, you can create something digitally, or you can pull some. You can also have the option of pulling something that has already been created off the internet and modifying it and doing things like that. And I'm going to show you some examples of what I've been doing for that. And the third thing is the images need to support a general theme for the story. So just making sure that the images that you have are relevant to what you're doing, and they're cohesive and they contribute to your story. And then the attractiveness, I'm also going to be looking at this, and we need to make sure that your layout is clear and concise, that it's not overly redundant or unnecessary. There's a clear brand, that you use colors and text and things like that effectively to make sure that your story is being told effectively. So, okay, great. So now what I'm going to be doing is we're going to move from here over to XD, and I'm going to be showing you how to create a project. I'm going to be creating a sample project that's based on cancer, just a really 1,000-foot view with some images and some text. I've already created the text, so I don't have to waste time, typing for you guys, so you guys don't have to watch that. Anyways, so now I have this title page. I've already renamed this artboard as title page, but the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. I'm going to change the color of this just to make sure my project has a little bit of a brand to it. So I'm going to highlight this title page, and then I'm going to click on the appearance and the fill. I'm going to select a solid color, but you can also go for a gradient. You can try that. If you're so inclined. You're going to want to keep the opacity pretty close to 100%, or else your project's going to look pretty dark. So keep that up there. And I'm going to go somewhere, I think, in the greens. So I'm going to stay way up here in, the light colors. And I think I'm going to pick something like that. That'll be like my nice green color for this project. And so great, that's that. I'm gonna start to pull some text down. So this is going to be my project title right here. I'm going to put it right there, and then the author name, myself, is going to go down here. And then I am going to do a couple things here. I'm going to, I think, use a line function, and I'm going to draw a line across here and make sure that that is the proper width, and I'm going to move it a little bit. I'm going to change the height of it to 0 so that it's not slanted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of it to like 4. And I'm going to change the color of it to black. Great. And then I am going to go to the layers. Oops, I was already in layers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to paste it there, and then I'm going to pull it down there. So that's kind of going to be my double border for the project title page. And I'm going to repeat that. It's kind of like my motif for the project. Then what I want to do is I want to create like an image for this. So I'm going to make an image, but it's bound in a circle. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So I'm going to pull out the ellipse function, hold down Shift, and then create a big shape. And then I'm going to go to the select function, move it. Then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Great. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my little library of images that I've been pulling from the internet, and I'm going to drag this image into here. And it falls right in. But the issue is that XD focuses on the center of the image and not necessarily on like the focal point that you want for the image. So what you're going to have to do is go in and crop it. So all you have to do for this is right click and then click on edit in Photoshop. So this is gonna launch Photoshop, and for this you're gonna need to go install Photoshop if you haven't done that. You definitely should though, because it's a really powerful software and it's definitely worth taking some time to learn. But it's super easy. I'm just going to show you like a very simple couple tips and tricks for Adobe Photoshop that you're going to want to use for this project. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on the crop function. It's a crop tool, easy on the left side. And then I'm going to pull it over here. I want to kind of get some of these like little web things here. So I'm going to make it kind of like half the picture, half of the cell is in the center. And that's going to be like my cropped version. And then I'm going to do File, Save, Crop. And then I'm going to close. And now it has that, quality to it where it's kind of the cells in the center. So that's great. That's what I wanted. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a few shapes that are going to be like a few precursors to buttons for me. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull in the corners a little bit. This is my select function. I'm going to see how big that is. This cancer, that's a pretty good size. I might make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to copy it and paste it twice. And just move it over there. And now I have my 3 kind of basic, buttons, things, just to make it look like you have this. And one thing that I did actually want to do is create some shadowing effects for this. So what you can do, and I forgot to do it before I copied and pasted, but you can always do it after the fact, is create this little drop shadow function. So that's going to create some little shadowing effects for your buttons, which is pretty cool. So we're just going to do that really quickly. Makes it, it gives that a little bit of an extra, a little cool quality there. And then what I'm going to do is create one last one for my sources, which are going to be down here. And I'm going to pull this down here. Great. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 4 more artboards, one for each of my buttons. and throw them in the project. So I'm going to go to the artboard tool, scroll down to Web 1920, then I'm going to click 4 times. So 1 for each. And then the sources is going to be pretty, and then what I should do first is change the artistic, change the color of each of these. So I actually had, I'm gonna delete this really quickly, but what you can do here is you can add this color as an asset. So what I'm going to do is click on this plus button, and then all I have to do for the other artboards is click on that asset, and it's going to change the color of all of them so that you don't have to, copy and paste the color code or find it again, kind of finagle your way around. So that makes it really easy. And then for sources, I'm just going to pull the text in. That's done. And we'll come back to that. But I'm going to make my page on what is cancer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this line over here, make sure it's on the same line using the center function. And then I'm going to use 150 as my benchmark here. And as you can see, I've kind of used similar text sizes, and I've used assets for my text sizes to make sure everything's the same size on each artboard. So that's helpful. And then, so the abnormal growth of cells is kind of the hallmark, for what a cancer kind of is. But I want to have a little quote from this book that I've been reading, and put it in here. So I'm going to take the book cover, a picture of the book cover, and put it in. And what I just did to this artboard here is I dragged it down. So now it has a scrolling function. So if you preview this, you're going to need to scroll. So that's that. But anyways, back to the project. So now for this text, for this book, I want to create kind of like a talking bubble. So I'm going to create an ellipse, just as a design thing, an ellipse. And then I'm going to put this text over this. And then if it doesn't show up on front, all you have to do is right click it and click on bring to front, and the text should come to the front. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is create a polygon, create that little tall polygon there, and then I'm going to rotate it. And then I'm going to move it. And then I'm going to send this to the back. So that way it kind of looks like a speech bubble. Great. So it's kind of like my made, picture. And then what I want to do to finish off this artboard is I want to create another line. And then what I'm also starting to think about is how am I going to let my user get back to the title page if they want to. So I'm going to go to my image library and pull out the back arrow that I've downloaded from the internet and make it small. And then I can fit it right there. And, the idea is like when I make a button in the future, they can click on that and go back to the title page. But the issue is there's kind of like that background there that I don't really like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it in Photoshop. So that's going to pull up Photoshop again. Just have to wait a second. And this is a really easy and quick tool that you guys are hopefully going to make use of. If you ever have anything that's like a simple image with a non-transparent background, this is a really simple trick. the first thing that you want to do is have this layers part up. You can make sure it's up by doing the window and then layers to make sure that's visible, and it should show up right here. And the first order of business is to make sure that there's no like lock button over here. If there is, then all you have to do is double click this pane and it should show up, and then you can click OK, and then the lock button should disappear. And then you can click this search bar up here, and then you type in the word magic. Then the magic wand tool is the thing that you select, and then you select your non-transparent background that you want to delete. You click on that and it automatically highlights everything except for the image that you want to keep. Then you click on the delete button and that gets rid of it. Then you do Control or Command D to deselect, and then you do File, Save, and then you close Photoshop, and it's gone. The background is gone and you just have the shape left. So that's really an easy trick, and I hope you guys find that useful. So now onto the next artboards. I'm just going to kind of fly through these. It's kind of like a rinse and repeat. So we have cancer pathophysiology. I'm going to drag this down to make it scrollable. And the idea here is mutated DNA can lead to cancer. This is ideally where you guys are going to be including your scientific information and things like that. So I'm going to pull in some images. That's that. And then I'm going to pull in my design lines, drag them over. And then I'm going to copy my back button and paste it over here. Yep, that's that page. And then cancer statistics is going to go over here. Put the design line over here, center it, 150. And then what I did here is I kind of aggregated all these together. I pulled this image from the internet, but I included the lines and text boxes over here to add the cancers by rate of cancer deaths per 100,000 and put that in there. This is some information from the CDC. So I put that in there, drag that in there, and then I pull my line and pull in my back button. And that's that. So that's, and then I can finish off my sources section. And that's that. So great. So now it's kind of the full project. That's kind of showing you guys the ropes of the design function. So today we kind of went over how to create images and create shapes and put text, overlay text on them, and layering with the sense of putting things in the front or the back, putting images on top of shapes to bound them, grouping things. You can use the right click function to group things, and copy and pasting, and using document assets. So I hope you guys found all this information really useful, and I hope you use it. And you can always feel free to email me or contact me in any way if you need any help. But yeah, best of luck, everybody.